My husband had me involuntarily committed because he caught me trying to drown Jamie in the sink. He had to punch me twice in the side of the head and lock me in the trunk of our Corolla to get me to stop fighting. I was in the hospital for 6 weeks. Every single one of the 23 days I've spent at home since then, Ben is spent with Jamie in a locked room that I'm not allowed in. He won't leave me alone with him. Why would he, right? Because I gotta say, when I had the sink full and I had Jamie on that afternoon tea time dish towel, and he was looking up at me with that open little face, tiny little blank, and I scooped him up, one hand under his back and the other supporting his head, and I started to slide him down underneath. It felt like the rightest thing in the world to do. The only thing. Like, if I just did that, everything else would come into focus. I miss that feeling. Even though I know that feeling is... So I'm moving to Tempe. What else am I supposed to do, right? Unless I just kill myself. Doesn't feel like something I would do, but I don't really know what to do anymore.
I just feel like there's a lot of things going on, and I'm like really excited to dive into it like structurally, because I actually like had some questions and stuff that I was looking into as I was reading it and as I was starting to mark it up. And I just think it's really interesting monologue, and I'm really excited to work on it.
Me too. This is a really great example of like, you might be called in for something where you don't get to read the script in advance. It's a new work, and all you get is this piece and maybe a little blurb that says something about the Gibbons or
Yeah.
this character. So without knowing like what comes in the moment before this, we have to kind of create that, which is
Hmm.
why I liked these monologues, and which is why I kind of lean towards wanting to use them for this, because I think that what they really do is they showcase ways in which actors can just use the text they have and the like very small amount of givens to try to build a really strong argument or strongly acted, meaning like strong actions
Yeah.
monologue. So we've got when I had the sink full, when I had him on that tea towel,
Hmm.
when he was looking up at me, parenthetical, and maybe decide if that's going to go up or down so that you can know what to do with that when you get to it. And you can put them both, like you can put arrow up and arrow down so that you just remember I have to pick one.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Or if you have a feeling about what direction you tend towards, then that might be good too. But then you've got yes for has scooped him up, and then you've got another little parenthetical, which the writers brilliantly handed to you with these like punctuations that are, bookended on either side of it. And 5, slide him down underneath. And I would really lean into the fact that your playwright has given you 5 eyes in a row,
Yeah, definitely.
because you don't usually get that kind of direction from a playwright that's explicitly like, I want you to stretch this word out. Now how you stretch it out is up to you, how you pitch it, inflect it, what kind of effort it has, all that is up for grabs. But yeah, that's a nice little gift that
Yeah,
playwright gave to you.
it is.
That is to say, this is why I'm moving to Tempe,
Hmm.
right? Like all this shit happened and therefore I'm moving to Tempe to like try to start my life over.
Yeah.
And that might help you figure out like what your relationship is to this person you're talking to, why you reveal it right now, and what kind of reaction you're looking for from him. Are you looking for acceptance from this person? Are you trying to set all of this up to have him go, that's a great idea, and you don't get that from him, right? So like that's going to help you as an actor figure out the whys
Hmm.
that are built into delivering this text.
My husband had me involuntarily committed because he caught me trying to drown Jamie in the sink. He had to punch me twice in the side of the head and lock me in the trunk of our Corolla to get me to stop fighting. I was in the hospital for 6 weeks. Every single one of the 23 days I've spent at home since then, Ben is spent with Jamie in a locked room that I'm not allowed in.
So not hit not, but hit allowed.
Not
We're going to
allowed.
hear the not, yeah?
Okay. Every single one of the 23 days I've spent at home since then, Ben is spent with Jamie in a locked room that I'm not allowed into.
Great, how'd that feel?
That was good. I was surprised because I don't know why my initial instinct was like that little like monologue in the monologue was to go down and then up. But then when I went up and down, it gave me kind of something that I didn't expect to. I kind of want to like play around with doing that up and down different ways. Like I feel like there's a lot to explore with that because there's such a build there that that's like kind of like where the whole climax of the monologue comes into play. So I feel like that's a really important section to like experiment with and like see what works.
Yeah, and also that multiple things might work with this. You know, like it's not an exact science of like this is how this monologue should be done. Like the way you did that list there that time was way more emotional than your cold read because you were finding different things and it was uncovering different things for you. But that's not to say that list could also be very direct, and not getting caught up in your own emotions, but like these were the facts. And when I was doing it, that felt like the rightest thing to do. That it didn't feel emotional to you. It felt like that was the only choice you had.
Yeah.
I think both could work.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
the beautiful thing about acting is that this is about interpretation.
That moment when the monologue where you're expecting a response back but you don't get it, I feel like that was a really important moment there because it's like been going on this tangent and it's like this is why I'm doing this and like I'm really looking for your approval and you're just giving me nothing.
Yeah, you're saying like this is how high the stakes are for me, and you get to that place where you're saying I'm moving here to be with you or to be near you or I'm going to be near you, and you don't get the response you want. Like your whole monologue, which was very high stakes, just didn't work. So what are you left with now?
Through doing this, like through exploring like the vocal elements of it, it makes you understand so much more about what's going on. There's like a weird type of like vulnerability and hope in the beginning of just like this is such an exciting process to jump back into. I'm like really, it makes me feel motivated and happy.
Oh, I'm so glad. Sweet. Yeah, it's always fun to do the work.
Yeah, it honestly it is. And like people like have their apprehension or anxiety like about like doing it, and then when you start doing it you remember like how much you just love to do the work. Doing the work is like it's like excavating. It's like figuring out all the good stuff.
Yeah, it's like solving a puzzle, and then you get this really great, very gratifying final product where you get to see the whole puzzle put together and you're like, I did that.
It's so exciting.
Yeah, there's just like a growth mindset with like I'm never not learning.
Yeah, and it's like there's so many different like exactly like you said before, there's so many different ways that it can work. It doesn't have to work one way. And sometimes I get into that mindset of like you find one way that works really well and you're like, this is it, just gonna do this. But you get that growth mindset when you like explore the text in different ways and maybe you find a different way of doing it than you intended.
Yeah, and mostly marking up the text is about finding structure for you to then play with choices, and the structure is the thing that you end up memorizing. So that when you're really responding to somebody, if it's a scene or you're imagining what that response would be like in the moment, you might have a different inclination of what to do, but because you're only relying on the structure, not on every single choice you've made, that's the flexibility and malleability you need as an actor, that when you go back to say you get a note from a director and they're saying, I want you to make a different choice here, you're not sacrificing the structure of how the thoughts are organized, but you're actually just adding a different take, a different flavor to that structure, which is what needs to still be retained.
My husband had me involuntarily committed because he caught me trying to drown Jamie in the sink. He had to punch me twice in the side of the head and lock me in the trunk of our Corolla just to get me to stop fighting. I was in the hospital for 6 weeks. Every single one of the 23 days I've spent at home since then, Ben has slept with Jamie in a locked room that I'm not allowed into. He won't leave me alone with him. And why would he? Right? Because I gotta say, when I had the sink full and I had Jamie on that afternoon tea time dish towel and he was looking up at me, that open little face, that tiny little blank, and I scooped him up, one hand under his back, the other supporting his head, and I started slide him down underneath. It felt like the rightest thing in the world to do. Like the only thing, like if I just did that, everything else would come into focus. I miss that feeling. Even though I know that feeling. So, I'm moving to Tempe. What else am I supposed to do? Right? Unless I just kill myself. It doesn't feel like something I would do, but I don't really know what I do anymore.